first official test ride of all the new mods on the bike. She came out of winter förvaring, which is Swedish for winter storage. It was only last week we were still getting snow, but the temperature today is up to a nice, I think it's 10-11 degrees. With all my gear on, I'm sweating already. God knows what it's going to be like when it's 30 degrees. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I can feel that I'm a bit rusty. I haven't ridden really for 5 months. So you'll have to excuse some basic mistakes at the moment. There's just so much new going on, especially with the all of the mods. The new camera, the DJI Action 4, which I'm very, very impressed with. This is the first real recording. Yeah, look, get the gears wrong. I'm now testing out the wireless mic 2 as well, which I've managed to connect to the inside of my helmet. I've still got a connector for the old camera that I had on the side of my crash helmet, which just wasn't really working for me. It was the Senna 50C. I mean, it was good. I love the idea of it, all incorporated in one, but I've got an E2 Schubert crash helmet and it just wouldn't sit on the side. I had to stick it on the side. And no matter what I did, I couldn't. It was constantly on the piss, even at max adjustment. There's still quite a lot of gravel on the road that I can see from all the gritting from winter. The bike's feeling nice though. It should do. I've spent bloody ages getting it all done. This is new as well, the new windshield. I've noticed that I get a hell of a lot of buffeting now, of course, when I'm up at higher speeds. But I'm going to test it out. I'm hoping that it's not going to fly off. We shall find out. And I shall take her up to the speed limit on the motorway and test that out. The quad anti-vibration lock is working nicely. The quad lock, sorry. I've installed a tyre pressure monitor as well. I haven't really planned a route, so this is a little bit on the fly. But what a day to have a nice ride out. So, to those that are new to the channel, this is my Kawasaki Vulcan S from 2021. I got an amazing deal on it second hand. It was in absolute mint condition and sold at well under price after the, well, it was 2 owners actually. First guy only rode it for about 300 kilometers. And then kept it in the garage after spending about 20,000 crowns, which for argument's sake, let's say $2,000 on upgrades. And then the guy that bought it after him rode it for about 600 kilometers and then put it in the garage for, yeah, just under a year, because he just didn't get the time, self-employed, he just never got the time to ride. And he also put on about 20,000 crowns worth of mods on it, so, and sold it at the base price. So I got a killing deal. I could have gone for a bigger bike, but I thought, no, I'll get a newer one that's in this condition. Don't you dare pull out on me now. It's Vulcan S. You might be able to hear the exhaust. I don't know. I haven't tried it with this mic 2 yet. We'll see how she sounds. It's the Arrow system, because it's the sports version, which I have now spent time putting and making it into a Tourer, so that I can actually swap it backwards and forwards with the panniers. And I'll do a video on the bike another day. Got to keep an eye out for all this gravel that's still on the road. I'm going to go straight over it and get out into a bit of the countryside. See how it goes. Good to be back on the road. Damn, 5 months without riding. Actually, saying that, I was up in Finland to visit some friends for New Year's, and we got down to close to -38, and that's a bit nippy, I can tell you. And we were out driving in the car to go and get pizza at one time, and a guy went past on a quad bike. I could not believe it. Crazy fins. I'm going to go off here to the right, I think. So this is Anglehome anyway. Have a look behind me. Go on. Everybody bugger off. Give me a bit of an open road. Remember that speed limits now. The flies have already started to come out. I can feel them hitting my face. Alright, slow down. I'm already breaking the speed limit. Look at that. Nice blue sky. Just what we want. Middle, 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 as Dan the fireman says. Look through the corner. I have actually been out and been doing some emergency brake testing in the car park outside where I was doing the work on the bike. And I was doing some figure eights and that. Breaks and eights, as I call them. Get my spider senses back. Over here to the left is Angleholme's airport. Just a small little airport. We're close to actually what's called F10, which is the Air Force military base. So we get a lot of fighter pilots flying overhead sometimes. I really hope this microphone is working. It's surprisingly windy inside the helmet, it feels like, but it might just be me getting used to it all again. I can in the mirror see that I've got to take this this old connector to the crash helmet off that had the old camera on, so I could feel the wind dragging on it. She wants to pull, I can feel it, she really wants to go. I love the Vulcan S, I really do. I'm back after 20 years of not riding. I had a bike when I've lived now in Sweden for just over 30 years. So in fact I've lived longer in Sweden than I I did, born and raised in England. So I moved here when I was just before I was 26. So yes, I'm an old fart. I reckon there's going to be quite a bit of gravel coming out of that runway, so go out a bit. There we go. Clear open day, look at that, beautiful. I think we can open her up a little bit here, let's see what happens. I've got to test to see whether or not this windshield's going to fly off. Not too bad, not too shabby. Might have to blank out the speedo before I release this. We'll edit that bit out, okay? Would you cut that bit out? You'll probably notice I have absolutely no chain of thought either. It's very, very sporadic. These new handguards that I've put on as well are really, really doing a good job. Which will help me continue riding into, well, like I did last year, beginning of November, before I finally put her away. And it wasn't so much the cold, which, I mean, obviously it's an issue. I certainly don't want to ride on black ice. It's just not worth it. It's getting the bike covered in crap. Just all the salt and grit and God knows what, just chewing it up. The hill in the distance there you can see is called Hallandsorsen. It would be the equivalent of the Sussex Downs in England, where I grew up. I was born in Brighton. Oh, look at all this rubbish here. Right, let's go up this way. There we go. So southern Skåne, or southern Sweden, reminds me somewhat of the countryside in about where I was raised. I did have bikes in England as well. I rode for about 7 years, I think, in England. Started on 125s and worked my way up to I think the last bike I had was a CBX 750. Kawasaki AR 125 to start with. And I just got a taste for Kawasaki's. So this Vulcan S is my 4th Kawasaki now. I had a 305 after I'd passed my test, which was a fantastic fun little bike, belt drive. I go up over the hill and then I shall do a U-turn and come back in it. Yeah, belt drive 305, wonderful bike, great fun bike. After that I moved up to a CBX 750 for a time. When I moved to Sweden I had a Z550. That was a fun little bike, but the Swedish roads are far different to English roads. And a 750 back in the early 90s was considered quite a big bike. It's not by today's standards. But when I decided after my girl sort of moved out, Dad found himself a lot of free time, a bit of passion. I wanted to get back in the bike. The bike is lovely. I did. I had some quandaries about what I was going to start back riding again after a 20-year absence. And I was looking very much at the Vulcan Vaquero or the Vulcan Voyager, but let's put age onto it. I decided that it wasn't a good idea after a 20-year break to get back onto a close to 400 kilo bike. So I thought, well, I definitely don't want sports bikes anymore. I quite like cruisers, and the Vulcan S I've always had my eye on. And as I'm not going to be doing massive amounts of long distance touring, look at that, beautiful. When it's winter, all this is just ice, and you get ice coming down the sides of the hills as well. Looks like waterfalls of just frozen ice. It's beautiful. So I chose the Vulcan S, and I do not regret it. She is feisty. Definitely a keeper for 2-3 years. You're not meant to be listening to this, by the way. Be quiet. You're doing a good job. Of course I'll never get rid of you, darling. See, the snow poles are still up, they haven't collected them yet. If you've noticed here, there's no cat's eyes in the centre of the road. That's because of the snow clouds. And the gullies on either side of the road is for all the extra snow. Because, my God, sometimes it can snow up here. And there we are, there's a typical Swedish signpost for the moose, or elk as they are over here. Elgia. This is going to explode soon in green in the next few weeks. And I'll probably be talking with a snotty man most of the time. A lot of beech forests up here, but as soon as you get up a little bit deeper into Central Scotland, or all these pine forests come on, and the smell is fantastic when they start seeping their resin and that during the summer. My God. It'll be interesting to see what the sound levels are like in this. I've got the 32 or 34 bit active, so I should be able to adjust it. There's another learning curve, learning how to edit. We'll get there. Thank you, that's the first meal of the day. Another little mod actually was I put on the Atlas throttle lock. That does make a hell of a difference, as I'm just about to use it, just to give you the right arm a little bit of a break, get the tingles out. These grips feel a little bit wider as well than original OEM grips that I had. I think, well, yes, up here, we'll have to do a U-turn up here. Anyway, out of practice and I'll drop the bike now. That'll be fun. No, right, let's try it now. I've got to turn my, there's nothing behind, is there? No, come on in. That went better than expected, didn't it? There we go. Miss. feels weird not being able to take my hand off the end of the... Get these mirrors adjusted as well. And not in the corner. Right down. From behind. There we go. I do like this little mirror here. It just gives me a shot right down the floor. Ooh. I think the turbulence, there's another warning from Moose. I tell you that I don't ever want to see come across in front of me. I do actually have gear whistles on the bike, 2 of them. You know, if they actually do anything I don't know, but I'd rather have them than not have them. I've actually had a couple of Moots run across me, but that's when I was driving my car. And they are big. That would definitely be a wipeout. It'd be like hitting a cow. It happens most years that there's some poor unsuspecting soul ends up losing their life because these bastards run across the road. But they're beautiful when you see them, of course, but you really have to keep your eye on the forest. I'll have to give my visor a clean, I reckon. Someone's been doing donuts. I'm actually getting a red light on my mic, and I don't know whether that means that the battery's low. I'm probably not recording anything. We'll find out though when I get home, because I'm not buggering about with it now.